Right. Welcome to Let's Connect. It is Tuesday, March 29th, 2022. And I'm cold in studio. I'm not lying to tell you. I'm hoping everybody had a great Tuesday today. It's been a wonderful start to the week so far. We are going to start off with our shout outs. We have a few birthday announcements and death announcements to get through. And then I will be introducing you to my guest who is already here with me. So first off, let's give a big shout out to Fosse Jacques and all the communities of Fosse Jacques. I want to shout out Mini, Belvedere, Saint Philip, Boisden, Belfort, Deville, Espérance, Belle Plaine, Fongelib, Monlacroix, Chateau Belair, Zeno, Colabet, Sulphur Springs. I'm trying to get through my list quickly. Fort Echo, big shout out to you guys down in Diamond, Bouton, Etangs, Margaretute, Market Road, Palmis, Fort Beignet, especially big up to Miss Luciana in Palmis before she said I forget her. I've not forgotten you, my darling. Fort Beignet Posse, big shout out to you guys. New Development, and especially a big shout out to the Dusauzay family of New Development. Wingsville, Church Street, Smoke Hill, The Gulf, Lenny's Hill, and big shout out to Baron Drive, our biggest supporters ever. Thank you guys for tuning in to Let's Connect every Tuesday, 5:30 to 6:30 on 88.5 Soufriere FM. We want to give a big shout out to Miss Marcella Charles celebrating her birthday today. She is 78 years young. So happy birthday to you, Marcella Charles of Palmis. We also want to say belated birthday greetings to Nancy Nicholas, who celebrated on the weekend, on Sunday. Also, on a lighter note, we have to announce that the funeral of Columbus Rene, also known as Mr. Silk or Swa, is going to be this Thursday, March 31st. Okay, we announced his death a couple weeks ago. So his funeral is going to be taking place on this Thursday, March 31st. That's the funeral of Columbus Rene, also known as Mr. Silk or Swa. All right, so let's get in full swing. I want to say good night to Branson Solange, who's signed on to our live. Also, good evening to Miss Calixta Joseph. Thanks for always tuning in. Thanks for joining us. We want to shout out our good friend in St. Vincent, Mr. Delta Bowens, always locked on. And to all of you listening on 88.5, thank you so very much. My guest this evening is Officer Shervon Matthieu. Welcome to the program, Officer Shervon Matthieu. Those of you who are regulars to the show, you might remember that a couple weeks back, I had some presentations that was provided by Officer Shervon Matthieu, which was regarding different safety tips at the beach, at the ATM, domestic violence. We had quite a few very great PSAs put together by Officer Matthieu. Thank you so very much for that. So today we're going to be taking the time to concentrate on robberies in the community and crime safety. So we have a full-on presentation today, and I have a few questions. We're going to try and get through as many as possible. Also, I'm going to be paying attention to our Facebook live chat. So anyone who is going to send in any questions as we go along so that I can ask Officer Matthieu right now on the live. So if you have any questions as the presentation is going on, don't hesitate, send in your questions. Okay, so Officer Matthieu.
Hi.
What are the most commonly burgled places within the community? Is burgled even the right word?
Yeah, burgled. But, well, normally, I could speak to. I'm not sure about Soufriere because I work at the CID in Grosley. Mm-hmm. But some of the most common places which are burglarized, when we do the stats for the RSLPF, most times it's persons' homes. Okay. All right, and you would know that a burglary is entering someone's home as a trespasser with the intent to steal, cause harm to that person, or to injure any person in. So this is basically what a burglary is. So most of the reports that we get from burglaries are from persons' homes. Secondly, persons who have small shops, small stores. Mm-hmm. When we compile the stats from island-wide, those are the two most common places.
Okay, well, I have definitely been a victim of a burglary at my home, my current place of residence, as well as when I was younger. So it seems to be something that you cannot seem to escape it as a statistic. I can say probably majority of St. Lucians have experienced burglary in some form.
Yeah, I have also been a victim of burglary. I remember when I moved to Castries, I just became a police officer. My apartment was broken a number of times, and it happened for. I guess it was probably a fault of mine. The apartment where I lived, there weren't any burglars. I didn't have any outside lights, any motion sensor lights, and as I speak, you notice that those are some of the things that persons could put on their homes.
To deter the burglars.
The burglars. The place wasn't fenced properly. I never communicated with my neighbors because I didn't know them. Now, some persons would say that sometimes your neighbors are the same persons who break into your home, but it's always important to let your neighbors know when you're in or when you're out, because there are honest neighbors around and they could cast an eye on your house for you, right? So, and the area where I used to live was close to some of the most volatile areas in Castries. So, all these things are things that we need to look at when we move into apartments.
So proximity to volatile areas, or I for lack of a better word, ghettos.
I didn't want to use.
We have to read down. So some persons might not know what volatile means. So we're talking about areas where crime is prevalent, violence is prevalent, that sort of behavior where you most likely will get a lot of thieves living around the area. That's what we're saying. But in one of the experiences I had, all my lights were on. That did not seem to be a deterrent. So outside lights, motion sensor lights. But what about having a dog?
Yeah,
I know that's a popular thing.
Yeah, that's important as well, having a dog. Now, one of the most important things when you're moving into a new apartment, it's always important to change your keys, your door locks. Because I had a friend who moved into an apartment and she didn't change her door locks, and you wouldn't know who lived there prior to you coming into that apartment, and somebody still had the spare keys. And somebody entered her home. There was no forced entry. The person just unlocked the door and entered. So this is something that we as citizens need to look at. It's always important to change your door locks when you're moving into a new apartment. Now, in a small community like Soufriere, I don't know if we have neighborhood watch groups. Neighborhood watch groups really, really, really work, especially when there are suspicious persons moving in and around the community. So let's take, for instance, one of the streets in Soufriere, 18th Street, let's say, for instance, Boulevard Street. Okay, if somebody on Boulevard Street sets up a WhatsApp group, and basically it could work as a little community neighborhood watch. In the group you send messages, hey, there's a car parked near Miss whoever's home, and stuff like that. A lot of these things do help. Yeah, it serves as a deterrent and also as protection for your home.
I am not sure if this is something that would work in Soufriere. They'd more use the WhatsApp groups to be minding people's business.
Yeah, well, yeah, or minding,
like, did you see who entered so and so's home?
Yeah,
like that sort of thing.
What the police is doing.
Right, like I don't know if they'd use it for the right reasons. Yeah, and people tend to be in a WhatsApp group and then start sending you all things unrelated to the purpose of the group into the group.
Yeah.
So then it distracts from the purpose. So I'm not sure with WhatsApp. I don't know. It depends on who's in the group. And maybe the number of persons in the group. Probably if it's not every single person on Boulevard Street, maybe if it's a couple of elderly, a couple of young persons, and a couple in between. Maybe if it's 6 persons, and that was what they devoted to, maybe I can see it working. But if every single person in every single house on the street was in that group chat, I am not 100% sure it would be as effective. But you never know. It's better to give it a try than to denounce it right off the bat. So that's definitely something we can take into consideration, having a neighborhood watch, a neighborhood WhatsApp group for persons in the neighborhood to say, I will not be there for 2 days.
You don't even have to say that in a group, but some of the important things you could put that, hey, there's a suspicious guy walking around with a hoodie on his head at midday. That would raise suspicion. Like, who walks around with a hoodie at midday?
Right.
We're in the dry season right now.
True.
Yeah. So
you should not be. Yeah, I agree. Midday, you should not be covered up so much, especially if you're dressed all in black and nobody can see your face. That sort of thing.
Persons in Soufriere probably not take that serious until there's a trend until it starts happening. Yeah, we see it happening in Castro, we see it happening in Viewfort, we see it happening in other communities. You say, you know what, Soufriere is a quiet place or whatever. It will eventually spill into Soufriere. Look at how often gunshots have been fired in Soufriere.
Yes.
I woke up in Castro, I hear about it, I know about it. Right? Look at how often you hear that shots are being fired, persons see who fired the shots and stuff like that. And do you think that you would have heard about that happening in Soufriere on a day like today?
No.
Yeah, so eventually, gradually, it is starting to spill into our community.
So it will. You anticipating that it will escalate.
Exactly.
Okay. So these are things we need to start thinking about: getting burglar bars on our windows, changing our door locks if that's the same lock we've had from the time we moved in.
Reporting suspicious activities.
Maybe get a couple of your close neighbors and put together a neighborhood watch chat, a WhatsApp group chat that you can talk about things you'll notice happening in the neighborhood, that sort of thing. Getting a dog, get a guard dog if you can afford to have a dog, that sort of thing. Okay, all right. So when a household gets burgled, because that's what you say is most prevalent, is a household getting burgled.
Household.
How does it affect the psyche of the neighborhood? Like if you've never had a burglary before,
Right.
and then all of a sudden 5 houses in the neighborhood get burgled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Most times victims, they feel a total loss of control. Now, especially if that burglary happens and you're at home, persons will be afraid to stay home on their own. Everybody will be nervous. I mean, they would thinking that we're probably next, or or what if, you understand? But if it happens in one household in the community, this is where persons need to be aware of their surroundings, be observant, and start putting things in place when it comes to security measures. Right now, it's not expensive to install surveillance cameras on your home, and you could monitor it right there in your hand on your phone. Okay, you could get at least 2 or 3 cameras for just about $2,000 being installed and everything. That's about the price the package goes for. So we need to take crime safety and crime safety measures very serious. Yeah, because it will happen. Because if you see it happen to your neighbor, sometimes it might be you. And there are a lot of things that we as citizens do that cause us to become victims of crimes, like especially burglary and robberies. For instance, you go to courts and you purchase a television. What would you do with that box, Mrs. Susie? Be honest.
I'd throw it in the garbage.
Where? When? What day?
On garbage day.
You sure?
Yeah.
No, you would remove it. You remove the television from the box and you just place it by the road.
No, that's not me.
You would not do it.
I would not do that.
Most persons don't do it.
I guess most persons
you know what that does?
It lets persons know that you have a new television. Right.
Okay. You live in home. You want to leave the keys for your son or daughter who's coming from school. Where would you put that key?
Under the mat.
Exactly. You never know who's watching.
True.
Right. You'd probably go around the house, find a clip. But those are things that used to happen long ago when there wasn't much crime. We cannot continue to follow that same trend.
Well, there's fake rocks now. You can buy a fake rock online.
Let me tell you, everybody
knows all the tricks.
Everybody knows all the tricks. Yeah.
Well, the thieves know all the tricks. They know all the tricks.
We as police officers or we as law-abiding citizens, we study the trends. The thieves study the trends too.
I think I read once. They said don't put on the sticker. Sorry. The sticker from your security camera, like if it's ADT, don't put the sticker that there's burglars that can figure out how to get past the ADT system. They can Google it, they can YouTube it, and
trust me, it's their job. So
they know what they're doing.
Yeah. They study. Look at the amount of vehicles that have been stolen.
Exactly. I was thinking about that the other day. You mean to tell me nobody's noticing when these vehicles are going?
No, you see, the thing about it is there is a market for those things.
Well, I suppose.
There's
a market for cheap vehicles.
Once we intercepted an individual who had about 9 flat screen televisions on a car. And we happened to get one of the persons who purchased it from him. Let me tell you, a flat screen television for $300 or $500.
Brand new again?
Brand new? The only thing you have to probably get is the remote. So there's a market. Okay. You see, if there wasn't a market, there's a market for the
like the saying says, sip and
So so that's how it is. All right.
I get that. The same way for Freddie or larceny, I suppose. If you
There's a
don't
market.
if
The
you
persons
don't buy the
fruits
produce,
and vegetables.
then they will not have nobody to
Yeah.
sell it to. They will not be stealing it. I get what you're saying. It makes sense.
So
It
basically,
does.
right now, it's like being a thief is a career.
It's a profitable one too, because and you have a quick turnover rate. Your stock doesn't stay on your account.
No, not at all. It's hot. That's why they call it hot goods.
Hot goods. That I never got that until now. Hot goods. That's what it means. Like hot bread. Okay, interesting. Okay, so after a burglary has occurred, let's say, especially like in my incident, how would you know that I would need counseling after a robbery? Is it only if a gun was used or a weapon was used, or is it anybody who has experienced something like that probably should speak to somebody about it just in case?
All right. I could speak from speaking to victims. All right. A lot of the times, victims they feel a sense of psychological effects such as anger, depression, and fear after those incidents of burglaries, robberies, and what have you. All right. There's a feeling of anxiety. All right. Now, I cannot tell you go for counseling. Right. The onus is on you to go for counseling, but most times when persons are victims of crime, especially in a situation where a firearm is used or somebody invades their privacy, right, it tends to limit your social life. You want to stay home more or you don't want to stay home.
Oh yeah, trust me.
All right?
I don't want to go nowhere.
Right. It goes on for like your entire life because you have flashbacks. Now, when you start having flashbacks, sleepless nights, anxiety, one of the first things to do is get counseling. Speak to somebody and at the same time put measures in place so that you will know you'll not become a victim of crime. But crime is everywhere. If you remember the individuals who got robbed in Soufriere, they got robbed. They moved to Castries, right?
And they got robbed again.
They got robbed 2 days later.
Yeah, I heard about that.
So do you think it was their fault?
I wouldn't know. I'm the location. I think at first I blamed the location for the one that happened in Soufriere, but I don't know where the location was for Castries.
Well, they were in Tria because
was it at the beach again?
No, they actually came from dinner.
Wow.
They were walking back.
So is it that they were not observant of their surroundings, or was it some behavior they were exhibiting that was making them a target?
I don't think it was any of that. I believe it was the time and it was tourists and it was after 11 in the night.
Okay.
Yeah, it was after 11 in the night.
So basically, if you're out after 11 in the night, people are probably going to be paying attention to you and wondering what you're doing out at that hour. And okay.
So you see, they got robbed in Soufriere, got robbed in Castries. So it's like it's island wide. It's like crime is all around us.
Wow. I didn't take it into account of the reasoning why they would be robbed again. Interesting.
I don't know, probably it was just a bad luck on their side.
I hope in their case that they get counseling, because I think I would be traumatized to be robbed twice in a row like that.
In less than 5 days.
Yes, that's like, what is wrong with something is going wrong there. Wow. Okay, so we mentioned persons particularly should get counseling after they've been assaulted with a weapon, but is robbery with a weapon called something else? No. Like, is it aggravated robbery, aggravated burglary?
No. Okay.
Escalated something? I don't know.
Okay, there's aggravated burglary and there's robbery. Robbery is basically stealing from somebody using violence. Okay? So basically what a robbery is at the criminal code, is section 206 of our criminal code speaks to a person committing robbery, the offense of robbery, he or she steals and immediately before or at the time of doing so, in order to do so, uses force on the person and puts the person in fear or being subjected to force. It's like, give me all you have or I'll kill you. Or you put a gun on the person or you put a knife on the person. That is what, and you steal the person's chain, wallet, whatever you have. Okay, that's what a robbery is. Stealing with violence. Okay. So
what's the difference with that and the aggravated burglary?
The aggravated burglary, okay, is entering into somebody's dwelling house with a weapon, stealing from them and inflicting injury on that person.
Okay.
Now you could face up to 20 to 25 years in prison for aggravated burglary. That's how serious an aggravated burglary is.
But that's only if the person gets harmed, injured.
No.
So long as you enter the dwelling with a weapon
and you,
and you steal something and you put fear in the person, it's aggravated burglary regardless
and
of the
normal
person is
burglary
injured.
is just entering into the dwelling house and probably grabbing a TV and what.
Okay, so that's the person is not there.
Yeah,
so that's just burglary.
Yeah.
But so long as the person is there and you accost the person
right.
and
you tie the person,
right.
stuff like that, you steal stuff from that. That's now there is stealing from dwelling house. Now let me explain. Stealing from dwelling house to you. You invite me over. You go for a shower. You leave your phone on the table. I steal it. I go. When you come back, I'm not there. Your phone is not there. That's stealing from dwelling house. You okay? I didn't enter as a trespasser. You brought me into your home. The only thing I did was steal something from it. That's why it's called stealing from dwelling house.
What can happen with that then? Because that has happened to me.
Yeah, it's the same thing. You take the matter before the court.
I know, Vermanas, I am a victim.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just a lesser penalty.
A lesser penalty, but nothing was done for that when that happened to me. They said there was no evidence. They couldn't find the person.
Well, I guess the police officer who was involved had to follow certain police practices to try their best to.
Yeah, because I guess if they don't find the stolen item, there is no evidence.
There's also circumstantial evidence.
Yeah, but they did nothing.
I don't know what the investigation entailed.
You need to come and teach a course.
I cannot speak to them, you know.
Okay, we have a question in the chat. What is the penalty for trespassing? Maybe you should define trespassing first. Trespassing, what is trespassing, and what is the penalty for trespassing?
Okay, I am not sure I do not have a criminal. That's the only thing I forgot. I forgot my criminal code. Trespassing is basically entering onto somebody's property without their permission. So
property could be outside your house. It doesn't have to be inside your house.
No, it has to. Yeah. Now, entering as a trespasser in your house to steal. That's where the burglar. Because basically, it's not getting permission to enter on the person's property. Right. Now, the thing about it, there's trespassing and there's sin on premises. Now,
there's trespassing and sin on premises. Okay.
So basically, sin on premises is like somebody calling to Reneata, I see Shervon in your yard.
Okay.
And you go to the station, make a report. You say Shervon was standing in my yard or whatever.
So and so saw Shervon in my yard.
Now, to prove the trespassing, you need to have signs. You know, trespassers will be persecuted. You know, don't enter without anybody's permission.
Wow.
Yeah. Or your place is fence and the person jumps the fence. That's
So I don't have a sign. I don't have a fence.
It's not fence.
My neighbor told me so and so came into my yard. I go to the police and they cannot charge the person with trespassing.
They'll be charged for seen on premises.
It was just be seen on premises. Okay. So what is the penalty for trespassing?
If I could remember, I cannot remember off because I don't have the criminal code in front of me. But the penalty, I think the penalty for trespassing, I think it's 6 months or a fine of $1,000. Yeah, something.
That doesn't seem to be enough.
Well,
I think that's just me personally, because I'm at this point where I'm frustrated to hear with anything happening to me at my home that for me alone, this is my next question. Now I was about to say I need to get a gun. So how does somebody go about getting a licensed firearm, and where can I go to learn how to shoot it?
Right. So,
these are my next two questions.
To get a licensed firearm, you need to, first you need to get a form. If you get a form at the printry, it's $5. You fill it out. There are a few questions that you need to answer on there. You need to do certain things like a medical. You need to give a reason why you want that firearm.
Because I can no longer trust Solutions.
No, that's not a good reason.
No, but I've been robbed multiple times.
Yeah, not good.
I'm too trusting, so I can't do it anymore.
Okay. It depends on your interview, right? When when the interview is conducted. So if the investigator comes to you, you will submit everything. You have your police record, your medicals and everything, attach it to the form. You give your reason why and everything like that. If you have property, you have a business, your business has been burglarized, you've been robbed, or if you notice, I'm giving actual reasons for applying to the firearm. Now, if you just come and you say, I have a business, or I have a shop, I want a firearm, you apply.
That's not a reason.
Right. It's not. It's a reason, but it's not a strong reason to get a firearm. So the investigator would come to your shop. First thing they'll ask you, what else have you done to prevent your shop from being a target?
Okay.
You have no
added deadbolts.
Right.
Gotten a dog.
You don't have a camera system.
Okay, maybe I have put in my cameras.
You don't have a safe.
Okay.
So if you know it, I'm actually giving you the things that you need to
get a safe.
Right.
Put in cameras.
No, put other security measures in place
before you
to show that you will not solely rely on a firearm.
Okay.
Because having a firearm is like having a newborn baby.
No, because they don't go through all these checkpoints to get a baby.
No, but still,
it's easier to get a baby.
And there are protocols. You see the firearm holders who just withdraw the firearm from the waist area and discharge rounds in the air. You know that's a criminal offense. Not because you have a firearm license means that you have the liberty to remove a firearm from your waist area and discharge.
There's a friend of mine I wish was listening so that he could hear you say that.
If you do that, there's an offense called discharging a firearm in a public place. Okay. A firearm is used as a last resort. A firearm is used to protect your life, the life of your colleague, or your property with just cause. Now, not because somebody comes onto your property to steal from your mango tree.
That's not just.
And you go up there and you just shoot that person in a mango tree. That's not a justification for shooting that person. Okay? Did that person put your life in fear? Did that person put you at risk? Okay? Did that person do anything to believe that he or she would kill you? Okay, so if that person sees you coming, that person climbs down the tree and starts to run or walk away, and you discharge a round of ammunition at him, and you hit him in his back, and he dies. That is not a justified shooting, because the threat is already going.
Okay, does this law apply to police officers as well?
Yes, it does.
Okay, I just wanted to.
Okay, that matter. Yeah, it does. That matter will be taken before an inquest, and the coroner would deem whether the shooting is justified or not justified. If the coroner finds that the shooting is not justified, that person, even a police officer, could be charged for murder.
Why is it that the coroner is the one in charge of making that justification? Wouldn't there have to be a detective?
The detective investigates the matter and puts the file before the coroner's court. It's prosecuted. The coroner is a magistrate that deals with death.
I thought the coroner was the person who is yes.
No.
Oh, okay. That's the sorry. Yeah. Okay, so there's a different meaning for coroner in this situation. Yeah.
The coroner is a magistrate. We have the pathologist who comes to give evidence to see that the person was shot from the back, or that person received multiple gunshot wounds, and that person died as a result of hemorrhagic shock. Yeah. Okay. So that's the pathologist. So everybody would give evidence, and then at the end, the coroner would decide whether there is sufficient evidence to prefer the matter before a criminal court or to say that the shooting was justified.
Okay. All right. So in regards to the things that we need to do to avoid being robbed, we mentioned paying attention to our surroundings.
Right.
Now, one of our issues in this current time is always being on our phones. That seems to be the bane of our existence.
Not only on our phones, also AirPods, headphones in our ears.
Right. Yeah. Right.
The thing about headphones, they are noise cancelling headphones.
Yes.
So it actually blocks you out from what's happening around you. Okay. Now,
I think in one of the videos you did, there was going on exercise on the road. Yes. You mentioned that in that video.
There's always a trick to that. You could use one side of the headphone.
Yeah. So I've done that.
Because I know persons like music when they go out. What I did, I purchased a small Bluetooth speaker, and I have it in my pouch. I normally go exercise with a pouch, and I play my music from there, so I hear everything that's around me. And it's always important to go. Okay. So as it relates to, you've seen some of my videos, as it relates to going out and exercise, it's always important to let somebody know where you're going to, where you will be exercising. If you're going on the Soufriere field, you could let your family member, hey, I'm going to the Soufriere field to exercise. Don't geotag yourself. And when I say geotag yourself, it's like, some persons, they take their phone, click.
Oh, yes. So if somebody's tracking you, they know where you are.
So they say, hey, Reneata is not home. Let's go and break her into her home. She's on the field exercising. I think she might be there for about an hour. So we have a window of an hour to break into her home. All right?
That's something that needs to be taken into
route.
consideration.
So if you use the Soufriere field to exercise and you normally use the small bridge just next to the primary school, okay, let's say you're coming from, what can I say, Wingsville? Let's say Wingsville. You know, it's always good to alternate your route on different days. So if one day you come over the bridge and then you walk right there onto the field, the next day go down by the hospital, turn onto the big by Whispers and whatever, and then come up the road. You know, it's always good to alternate your route. You know, don't let persons know like if you're know
your routine.
Exactly.
Know your routes.
Your routes. There's strength in numbers. It's always important to go out and walk and exercise with a number of persons. Why? Because sometimes you may not see something and that person will see before you. So there's always strength in numbers. By the time they probably attack you and your friend will probably run for help. Okay, so there's always strength in numbers. So those are some of the few things that we should take into consider. And I say we because I still have to practice it as a police officer.
Okay. So is there a way that we can be taught to be more attentive? Is there something that we can, like, is there a class we can offer to women specifically?
Yeah,
let's say, for example.
I think as communities, youth and sports councils in the different communities, it's always important to include self-defense classes in your curriculum. It could be sometimes once a month, you know, have somebody who knows about self-defense to come in and, you know, and engage with and teach especially the ladies what to do. Even sports clubs, small groups, you know, a lot of these, you know, bring persons in to speak about self, like what we're doing here right now. You know, as a community, we should have more of these things, you know, not just the normal gossip and everything, like, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
we don't have to be talking about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock right now. We can be talking about
other things.
Simple maneuvers to escape from a attacker on the streets. Things like that.
Physical exercise is a major role when it comes to crime prevention and also protecting yourself from becoming a victim of crime. Okay. As a female, somebody attacks you, the quickest place to go for is the groin area or the eyes. All right, you kick out at the groin or you punch at the groin. Okay, if somebody is on top of you, and a lot of the things I believe that a lot of the communities should start, and especially in Soufriere, you know, show a woman if a man is on her about to rape or about to rape her clothes, how to get away from it, what to do.
What to do.
Yeah.
Ladies, do your nails. And make sure they sharp.
Yeah.
Aim for the eyes. Aim for the eyes.
Yeah, but the easiest way to get away is like it's kicking out for the ground, because that's one of the most sensitive areas on a man.
I remember in the movie Miss Congeniality, Sandra Bullock did this segment where she did the sing. It's shoulder, instep, nose, groin. You hit for the shoulder, instep, which is like you step on their feet.
Yeah.
Aim for the nose, so the eyes will water, and then aim for the groin and run away.
Yeah, that's why I said that those are some of the easiest places to reach: the nose, the groin. But the groin is a bit the fastest, easiest, quickest, and most sensitive.
Well, if your attacker is male.
Yeah, most times,
most times it's usually going to be a man attacking. So aim for the groin, aim for the eyes, nose, step on their feet, do these type of things to get away.
But women will not learn these things if it's not taught to them, and if
they don't have an interest in learning these things.
If persons, if groups in the community don't include those things in their curricular activities, even the churches are as well. I have gone to churches in Castries and I have done crime prevention speeches for the church members.
I think that's a good idea. The churches can host a seminar on safety, especially for the members. Maybe during when they have women's retreats.
Yeah, they do it. That's what I'm saying. Because I have done it for the credit unions in Castries, the Jean Credit Union, just to name a few. They do it.
Because I only noticed, I've not worked in too many different areas, but when I worked with the Soufriere Infant School, we had Professional Development Day.
Yes.
So these are the type of things you would learn first aid. You would learn how to do first aid on a baby, on a child. We'd learn different things. So I think that's something that could be incorporated in that type of situation when you have professional development, when you have workshops for your office. any business place can initiate something like that for their staff.
Yeah, and it's very important. It would work because you don't want to head at your staff on his or her way home that somebody robbed them at gunpoint, they put up a fight and they were shot and stuff like that.
We have a question here in terms of the self-defense techniques. The person is asking, what if the man has a gun or a knife? Do you still just aim for the groin? Because a gun can go off.
If somebody is pointing a gun at you, and let's say they're robbing you, it's better to lose $100 than to lose your life. It's better to lose a watch, a phone, whatever have you, than to lose your life. If somebody's pointing a gun at you and you have no training in disarming somebody who has a weapon, just
do what they say.
Relax.
Just do what they say.
Like I said, remain calm, be observant, and cooperate. These three things will save you.
Okay, so if there's a weapon involved, do not try to disarm the person. Just
relax, cooperate. Okay, especially if it's at let's say we have a credit union, right?
Yeah, we have two credit unions.
Right. So let's say the credit union is being robbed, and the one of the most important is to just be observant, cooperate, and listen to what the robber is saying. If the robber says, everybody go down,
that's not the time to start screaming.
Don't scream. Because a thief does not want to be caught. By the time you start screaming, it's going to agitate him. He's going to pull the trigger. Because he doesn't want to be caught. He says, go down. If you want to urinate right there. When you get home, you'll change. Somebody will mop the floor in the credit union. All right. If there is somebody upstairs in the credit union, inform him, the robber, that there's somebody upstairs. Because one of the worst things to do is to surprise a thief. Imagine, put yourself, you've never been a thief. You there,
put myself in the thief's shoes.
Right, and you hear a noise coming down like the flight of stairs, and you have a gun. What do you think you would do?
Probably aim my gun at
fire it. You probably believe it's somebody coming down there.
I'll be panicking. My adrenaline will be pumping. I will be okay. Right. Whoever is going to bush me right now is gonna get it. Okay.
Yeah. So,
all right.
And those are some of the few things that a lot of these business places do, especially the supermarkets and the financial establishments. Especially at closing hours, it's always good to check your washrooms, check your storerooms.
Oh, because
persons will enter.
Has to use the bathroom, right, and then they're waiting.
They'll wait. They might not.
I've seen that in a movie. Yeah. I have seen that in multiple movies.
It happens,
and I've never even thought of that.
Just because it's not happening in Soufriere as yet. We tend to think that it will not happen.
Wow, that I am. You're saying it, and I'm remembering seeing it in movies, and it's not something I would have ever thought about to want to be.
You remember the time you only fought motorcycles? A lot of motorcycles you just go and was in car streets only, right? Look at the amount of motorcycles we have going around in Soufriere right now. Okay,
let me tell you something. You see, the last time we had the shooting in Soufriere, the gunshots going off in Soufriere, I was walking home, and there was like a line of motorcycles just making circles around the square. And I remember saying, okay, what is going on? That is not normal.
Okay.
I remember saying that. That's not something I see on a regular basis.
Right. So gone are the days where they do only happen in car street in the city.
Wow. So these days we have to be extraordinarily careful. Okay, what about clothing? Is there anything about the type of clothing you should wear if you're on the road in the dark? Don't try and blend in wearing dark clothes. Wear something that will stand out. Wear white.
If you're going out to okay, depends on where you're going. If you're going out to exercise, it's always good to wear clothing that sends out a little color, like something that somebody could.
Something light will reflect off of.
Yeah, something light will reflect off. For the women, do not wear clothing that are too revealing, especially if you're going out to exercise on your own. Up in car streets, we've had incidents where women go out to exercise and they are victims of rape, right? Because they're on their own.
Oh boy!
They grab them, put them into vehicles, or pull them into a nearby bush, and that's why I say you have to be very observant of where you're going to walk.
I guess that should be applied to women heading to the gym as well, because on your way to and from the gym, depending on how sexy you're dressed.
Yeah, but
I like to go to the gym in baggy shirts and shorts because
keep it in
nobody not seen nothing.
Keep it in mind. The way a woman dresses doesn't give a man.
Does not give a man a right. He doesn't have the right.
The right to violate
yes, I agree with that. 100%.
But at the same time,
I think we need to be teaching our men restraint. I don't know how we're going to do it. We need to do a class for parents raising young boys, how to teach restraint and how to teach, I don't know, that a woman's body is not your property. I don't know what do we teach them at this point. I don't know how else to phrase it. But we need to do something about the situation.
Reneata, the thing about crime and crime prevention and curbing crime, it has to take on a holistic approach.
Starts in the home.
It starts from home. Now, starting from home, you were a single parent working a 9-to-5 job, making $300 a fortnight. Your son comes from school. You know that all the other, remember that those pieces of pencil. One day he comes home, he has an entire pencil. You say nothing to him.
Exactly.
You didn't buy it for him.
You don't know where it came from.
It wasn't given to him by the teacher. You don't know where it came from. You never question him about that. You know what he'll think? You know what? I stole that pen from my classmate.
It's okay. I can keep going.
He moves into primary school. He starts stealing somebody's notebook. You come home, you send him to school, it's 2 notebooks, he comes back, he's free. You never question him about where he goes. He'll start believing that it's okay. Until he leaves school, he starts to do the small, the petty thefts. Stealing a packet of solid biscuits at Massy, stealing a piece of cheese. Okay? If not, he brings it home. Where did you get that? You didn't question about it. Oh yeah, they have cheese in the house. You the parent, you start eating cheese too. You not question him. And that's how it goes. Now, that's where the lawlessness begins. Now, when you have a community that's lawless or a country that's lawless, you will have an increase in gun violence. You will have an increase in robberies. Okay? He moves on to the bigger house break-in. Steals a TV, brings it home.
You're not asking where the TV come from. You get TV, you happy with that.
So from infant school, you've not said anything to him and he believes it's okay.
It's just going to escalate.
After that, he'll move into the robberies. He moves into the robberies, he starts to steal. He makes money, you'll buy a firearm. Okay. You believe that the little robbery he did in a small store down the road is not nothing. He needs to do a bigger robbery. He goes to the credit union. He robs the credit union. Up until one day where eventually, God forbid, he kills someone or someone kills him.
Right.
So it starts from the home. It's a holistic approach. The neighbors need to play a substantial role in crime prevention and proactive crime measures. Not because it's not your home to say that it's not your business to turn a blind eye. Okay? Not because the electric pole, which is not functioning properly on the street where you live, is not near your home, that you will not report it to Lucelec. Okay? God forbid a young lady gets raped.
Because there's no light in there.
There's no light there.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's one thing I cannot fault our people for. We're reporting the lights.
Yeah, you have to.
There was a light that went out in the neighborhood and I did not even think to report it, and my neighbor was ready and willing to report it, and I applaud them for that.
All those things are preventative measures in and around the community. The bush is all right, there's an empty lot. Now let me tell you something about empty lots and burglaries. They go hand in hand. I will steal your TV. I cannot go down the road if I'll put it in the bush. And I'll come back back in the wee hours of the morning or when it gets dark.
So that's something else. We need to make sure all the
in your community
trimming of the bushes.
You live there, Reneata, whoever is there. Let's come on together on Saturday. Let's
cut the grass. Let's do something. I agree. I never saw that as a thing.
It's a holistic approach. It cannot be. You cannot depend on the police officers alone to be out there fighting crime. It takes, you see the same way it takes a community to raise a child. We all have to get involved.
We need to get more into the community approach. We need to get back to that.
Right. The doctors at the hospital, somebody comes in with they're supposed to report it. I'm just showing you. Somebody comes in with a gunshot injury, you inform the police. Sometimes you overhear certain things. Now, some persons tell you they don't trust the police, but there are certain police officers you can trust. Okay? I am not speaking for anybody. There are trustworthy police officers. There are police officers that you could trust. There are police officers you could give information and they will respond and they will act on it. Not because you've been in a situation where you made a report and the police did nothing for you, that you believe that all police officers will do that.
I feel like that was directed at me.
Yes, I know. Yeah. So, everybody needs to get involved. Reneata.
I agree.
The shop owners. Now, I personally believe when it comes to crime fighting, even the government has to do a lot. Okay? Exactly. It had to take an increase in gun violence. Gun violence has always been there for you to hear about. There'll be amendments will be made to the firearm. We've been recovering so many firearms. So
It's been happening. It's been happening for years.
So many persons have been shot. I'm not chastising any government. I'm just speaking.
We're speaking in general.
In general.
Because it's not something that happened today.
Right.
It's not something that happened last year. It's not something that happened 5 years ago. It's something that's been continuously happening.
Okay. I believe that there should be more stringent punishment to offenders, especially offenders of burglaries, robberies.
I agree.
Okay?
I agree.
Now, these punishments, it can act like a deterrent. I'm not saying that it will stop it, but it could act like a deterrent. Okay? There should be a review of the bail and sentencing guidelines, especially for robberies.
Of the bail and sentencing guidelines.
Now, the bail, somebody is charged, you take them before the court. Okay, the bail they will give them to come back to court. Okay, I believe there should be a review of it. You need
if you think it's too low, the amount is too low.
It fluctuates, but I believe a standard should be set, especially for incidents of robberies or burglaries involving firearms and for gun violence. For
aggravated burglaries, for anything involving a firearm.
Okay?
Okay.
All right. I believe installation of more CCTV cameras in cities and towns. As I mentioned earlier before we started the show, I think it's high time that a lot of those CCTV cameras move into the rural communities. Soufriere is a town. Soufriere is a picturesque, whatever the word is, community. Like a lot of tourists come in, we have
picturesque. We're picturesque.
Right. I believe it's time that we move into putting some CCTV cameras in
cameras that are being monitored by the police.
I believe that those CCTV cameras have to be monitored by the police. I believe that a lot more business places should invest in CCTV cameras. Now they will tell you that they do not have money to install the cameras. That's where the powers that become in the government. I believe, and it's happening in other countries, the government could give a grant. Remember, they used to have those small loans for small businesses. Right now, crime is on a rise. So I think that there should be...
anybody listening from Axel Finance, get on that.
A grant should be given towards the purchasing of CCTV cameras. Okay? I know Soufriere is a small community. We have the bank. We have more businesses coming to Soufriere. We have which credit union now?
We have Officer Credit Union and we have the Choiseul Credit Union.
I think the advent of a panic button would work. A panic button that would signal the police that there is a robbery taking place at the credit union. Okay, more human resources, more officers, more patrols, foot and mobile will serve as a deterrent. Okay, business places investing in armed guards, well-targeted programs. All right, if you notice that apparently has an increase in gun violence and the perpetrators are persons between the ages of 16 to 20. Find out what the root cause is and work on it. Set up programs. If it's a football competition, if it's even from the schools in Jamaica, there was a football competition. There was violence was increasing in a particular school, and the physical education teacher started a competition every Friday, but for you to play, you have to be at your best behavior to get into the Friday.
Okay.
So what that did for those kids, it gave them
a reason to
behave themselves.
To behave themselves. Yeah, give them an incentive. I always say with children, incentives always work. Children like things, so if you're giving them something that they want, they will do the behavior you need them to do to get the thing.
So you see, and that's where the crime fighting strategy start from the schools.
Okay.
It would work.
Like you say, it's a holistic approach. We have a question going back to when we were talking about home robberies. Yeah. Who are the most vulnerable targets for robbers? We said, I guess, women who leave their house regularly.
Right. Women. Most times it's women, but men too. And most times it's the men who probably have something valuable on them, like
gold chain,
more than one gold chain,
fancy phone.
Just have the phone in your hand.
Always flashing money when they go to the bar, like they always carry out the cash.
Women, especially who leave work, we have a lot of independent women right now who go to work and walk home on their own. They have their bag and stuff like that. But all I could say is try to limit your loss. If you have your bank card, if it's $100, you need just withdraw $100. Do not hold $1,000 in your bag just to show your friend that you have money in your bag. I'm pretty sure right now you cannot afford to lose $1,000.
Exactly. Definitely
exactly. Not. So it different. We have women being victims. So it's almost on the scale is balanced, both men and women. Yeah, are victims.
Right. We have a comment from Sonic Prosper. Incentives work in all facets of life, not just for kids, but also for adults. Do you think we can put together an incentive system to curb the crime amongst the adults?
I feel somebody asked me a question like, especially okay, when it comes to the adults, we need to get more serious on the petty offenses first.
Okay.
And those petty offenses start from the simple parking on the yellow line.
Ha! You said that and I laughed because yesterday I was on the line for the bank and there was a gentleman complaining to everybody who could hear that he just received a ticket for unlawful parking.
Yeah.
And it was $500. And he
And
was
he's upset.
so upset. And he's like, they're only giving you a month to pay it.
Yeah.
It's no longer 3 months.
So-
and I'm standing there, I'm not saying anything, but in my mind I'm like, but you parked wrongfully. So
Right.
why are you complaining? You did the crime, you gotta pay for it.
You have to pay the fine. So those are some of the things the petty offenses. We need to get stricter with the petty offenses. Okay. So driving without a license.
Yes.
Jaywalking.
Yes. What's jaywalking?
Just walking around for no reason. Loitering.
Jaywalking is like walking. I thought jaywalking was if you walk the wrong place when there's a pedestrian crossing over there. Like if a pedestrian crossing is over there and you pass over there.
You pass.
I thought that's what jaywalking was.
Even loitering. Now that's how the gang start. The small cliques. You drive around, you see their free kids lying on the block. You say nothing, you do nothing. All right? Both as a parent, as a police officer, and as a citizen. You don't report it. It started growing to 5, 6. You know what you'll start hearing soon? Gunshots being fired from that scene, and it becomes a block. So that are a lot of the things we think. And when he speaks about...
Well, then that means we need places for the young people to go to where they're not just loitering. We
Right.
need community centers. We need
More
access to
competitions.
the
More
fields. We need
competitions.
places. We need the
Tournaments.
libraries to be open after hours.
Well, people...
Well, I don't know. That's
People-
for me personally. I would go to the library.
Yeah, I believe. You see, the more you do things, the crime will still be there. Okay, but we could curb it. Okay, we could curb it. But somebody asked me once if I think that there should be a system where points are taken off your license. Yes.
Well, when you say points taken off your license, what does that mean?
Like in the States, you have the point system. You get 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes. Your license gets suspended.
Oh,
for
okay.
particular time. Yeah. Do I think that it would work?
Oh, we'd have no drivers within a week. We'd have no drivers within a week because the amount of accidents, the amount of illegal parking, the amount of things that take place with our drivers. I say everybody's buying their license. They're not actually getting their license the right way.
There's so much happening right now. There you could have a certain amount of marijuana in your possession. Person feel like they could smoke anywhere now.
Yes.
You cannot see anything.
I don't know why they deliberately misunderstand the amendment to the law.
Yeah, that's where the lawlessness begins. And I'll go back and I'll say it again. When you have a lawless community, there's always an increase in gun violence.
I call it willful ignorance because I don't understand why it's so hard to understand the simple amendments to things. You can carry up to a certain amount does not mean I can walk around with a big joint in my hand and the police cannot tell me nothing. I can blow it in their face.
In their face, yeah. Even the cigarette too.
Yes.
Like suppose you tell them, yo, you cannot smoke there, or this is a no smoking zone. Like people want to fight.
There's this thing. I don't know if it's an actual law, but I remember when I was growing up, I learned that you cannot play loud music next to a church or a hospital. Can we start arresting people for that?
Now, a person to tell you how do you prove that music is loud or not? Right?
There's a decibel. There's a measure. You can measure sound.
But,
yes.
But there's also an offense called causing a nuisance. Okay, you've been informed once, twice that the music is too loud by the hospital or by the church.
Yeah, so these are the things I agree with. These petty things now, being taken more seriously.
The same way we're saying that as police officers, persons need to be educated on some of those laws.
Yes, but I went to school the same as everybody else. Why do I know this and other people don't know this? I went to school just like everybody else. I went to the same Soufriere infant school that everybody else went to.
I guess persons just
deliberate. I tell you, I call it willful ignorance. Yeah. They deliberately don't care to know the truth. That's what it is.
So There's a lot. There's a lot going on.
My mind just let me check the time because I have a feeling we've been talking for an hour and I'm actually right. We only have 5 more minutes left. I think I have one more question. What is the best way to handle a robbery? I think we covered that in terms of in terms of an attacker with a gun. But is there anything else we should know in terms of give us some tips in terms of the best way to handle these situations?
Okay, not general situation, but I'll just go over some tips.
Yes, general tips, no problem. Yes.
Okay. Number one, always be alert. All right.
Move on your phones.
Yes, robberies occur at predictable anytime. Okay. All right. When it comes to robberies, especially you normally open at opening and closing periods. Okay. Those are the vulnerable times. Low staffing, large amounts of cash on us. Persons with business places in Soufriere have a cash handling system. If you know on a daily basis you make an average of $5,000 a day at your business place, when the cash gets to $1,000, great. It's better to lose 1,000
than to lose 5.
Or than to lose 5. So you clear it. Okay. If you clear your cash, clear it more than once a day. Limit your loss. Okay.
Okay. That's a good tip.
Always remember that the robberies increase during the holiday season due to the increase in cash volume.
Yes.
Okay. Business owners, citizens, Soufriere community members, report suspicious activities. If you observe an individual or occupied vehicle lingering around your business or your home in a manner that makes you feel uncomfortable, write down the number plate, the color of the vehicle, the description, call the station.
If you cannot read and write, send a voice note to yourself. Do something.
Send it to
There's
somebody.
no excuses at this point. We're not accepting excuses.
All right. Ladies, all right, it's always important to trust your instincts. If you sense trouble, get away as soon as possible. Show confidence. Walk with your head up. Right? Don't look like you're afraid to walk. Right? Don't look like an easy target. And an easy target meaning that you have your phone in your hand like a physically, and you walk. Even the guys too, walking around your phone, your headphone. Be observant. Remain alert and observe the people around you. Be aware of your surroundings. All right? Walk in well lit areas. Don't carry a large amounts of money in your hand. Now, before we leave, I just want to run through a small article with you. A lot of persons believe that not because somebody's not your friend, they enter into your business place, whatever, you don't have to greet them. You want to know what is one of the best crime fighting strategy when it comes to robberies at business place? Customer service.
If you have good customer service, you're less likely to get robbed.
There was a guy by the name of Troy Evans from the US. He was a notorious robber. He's now, what he does now, he now gives lectures on crime prevention. What Troy said is that any bank he wanted to rob, he would go and scout the place. As soon as anybody spoke to him and said, "Hi sir, how can I help you?" whatever, he would not come and rob that place. Wow. You know why? Because if he came back, they would remember something about him.
Wow.
Customer service works. All right. It's always important to have good customer service. It works. You will remember something. Anybody who comes to rob your business place will not come in on the very same day of the robbery to rob you. They would come to scout the place. They might be there a day before. They might be there a day before, 2 days before. Okay. Business places, business owners in Soufriere again. Set up customer service presentations for your staff members. It works. It helps.
Okay. I hope our business persons are listening. I have one final quick question. How often do plus size people get robbed? Because to me, I'm too big to rob. You cannot just attack me.
Robberies are without no size. Everybody. Tall, small.
No, I mean on the road there. When I'm talking about on the road, if I'm walking on the road, I'm less likely to get kidnapped.
You might be an easier target.
Really?
For robbery because they might grab your bag.
And here I thought my size was saving me.
No, it won't.
Oh darn. All right, we have one final comment here in the chat. We need to have more enforcement of those laws. Lawless communities thrive when they are allowed to get away with petty crimes. Give them an inch, they will take a mile. I agree with that.
Perfectly said.
Okay, so on that note, it is 6:30 on the dot. I want to thank Officer Shervon Matthieu. I hope we went through as much. I know you had a long presentation. I'll have to bring you back. I am going to have to bring you back because you had a long presentation ready for us. There's so much to cover. And I know that once this evening show is live, that persons will come out with more questions. And I think that it's definitely something we'll have to bring you back to do. I think we need to also maybe get some easily explained diagrams of self-defense techniques, maybe, that we can put up.
I remember in 2019 there was an incident in Soufriere, and I teamed up with a group of young ladies, and we did a walk against crime and violence, and we had some soca size, and there was a presentation on crime city. I think the persons from the Soufriere Youth and Sports Council, and I believe this is something that we could work on. Other clubs in Soufriere, if you're listening, Soufriere FM, Soufriere Foundation, if you're listening, this is something we could do. All right, I could be contacted. We could set it up as a community event. I don't know if the present parliamentary rep or whoever
I'm sure she would be interested.
This is something that we could work on, because it will help. So it's like a day. We could call it like crime prevention day. You know, we start off with persons speaking about health. You know, then we move into the normal crime safety preventative measures and stuff like that. You know, I have police officers that I could bring down. Then we move into the fun part, which is soca size, and then into boot camp.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's something we can definitely. I'll talk to some people. I know how to contact you, so we'll definitely put something together.
That'll be easy. You have the nurses and the doctors and all. So they could just come and talk about a simple topic, probably good eating habits. They could come talk about that. Then we could.
I think that is something, because there are way too many people in Soufriere that I know of personally who refuse to eat any form of vegetable. So I think we need to get, maybe tell them how to make it more delicious for them. I remember watching something and somebody told somebody put cheese on broccoli, and just so that they could eat the broccoli. So we need to get into that. I think that's something we need to look into.
We could move into a crime safety presentation. Might probably just last about half an hour. Something could just run through it, and then we could move into the soca size, and then the self-defense.
I agree. Okay, so once again, thank you so very much, Officer Shervon Matthieu, for joining us on Let's Connect on 88.5 Soufriere FM. Next week, we're going to be starting off a month of programs specifically targeted to the youth for Youth Month of April. So hopefully, I don't know, we'll try and see when, as soon as possible, that we can put together this interesting dynamic that we're going to be putting together in terms of health and crime prevention, and see what we can do. Thank you so very much for joining us. And until next time, you've been watching Let's Connect.